Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the World of Mack's Headroom. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I got through that little thing there because every time I kept making that woo sound, my dog would start barking. So I've done this about 10 times. Um, anyway, hello, Carpe Diem. This is one of these really Carpe Diem moments. Although I've been stewing on this for a little while, but I just decided that I was going to get up off my ass off the couch after watching so many illustrations of what I want to talk about that I had to just get up and do something. So I'm going to do it. And, you know, it's gonna focus around this YouTube issue. Let me say something. I've been at this now for about, I don't know, not yet a year, okay? But the more you get into it, there's a whole process. It's kind of weird, and you start watching other people's stuff that you wouldn't have ordinarily watched, and you get kind of hooked into movements that are happening in YouTube, and you start seeing sort of like strategies and games and things and observations, and then you get exposed to new materials, and it just it's more than just sitting here making tapes and being egotistical. But anyway, I've been really drawn as from a meta perspective, okay, as like kind of an outsider, because like I'm 66 years old, and I think most of the people doing this are probably like around 25 or so, 19, 25, 30, something like that. So I have this sort of outsider perspective on it a little bit, and I want to share it with you. And that has to do, I don't know exactly what to call it. I want to call it actually the YouTube wars, you know? I may put the intro music to that later, but I'm scared of getting bumped off for one of those copyright bullshit violations. Anyway, I want to talk about what I'm calling like the YouTube wars. And it's beginning it's as a biopsy, okay, as what we call an isomorph, something that's equivalent to a broader structure, okay? The big focus of it is this idiot named Alpha Genesis, who also goes by the name of Jared. And Jared is really what I also think, for any of you who haven't seen the show, I was a therapist for many years, about 30, and a long time in private practice and stuff. I had some specialties in sex abuse especially, and especially sex offenders. So, one of the things about this guy, Jared, is he gets on on a live stream, and he starts talking all this horrible shit that makes him look like a pedophile. And all these people are saying how, outrageous it is, and, people are getting into wars over it, and people I really respect, too, are getting sucked into, anyway, there's all this drama, as you can tell, happening around this moron named Jared, or he also goes by Alpha Genesis. But he sort of portrays himself as not only a pedophile, but just a rambunctious, idiotic imbecile, okay? But he is what you would call in Scientology language, although I'm not a Scientologist, bull baiting. He is a bull baiter. Besides being full of bullshit, he is a bull baiter. Now, what's a bull baiter, okay? A bull baiter is somebody who, for whatever reason, wants to behave in whatever, like Machiavellian, like what the means justify, the ends justify the means, like he'll act in whatever way is necessary to elicit some kind of reaction for some kind of purpose. And in this guy's case, I think it's a sick purpose. I oftentimes, if any of you, probably all of you have seen him, he reminds me, if anybody knows of what's called Munchausen via proxy, which is those mothers or nurses and stuff who strangle babies to get attention and all this stuff. Well, this guy is so starved for attention, and he lives in a little house, in a little bedroom stuffed with shit, and it's dirty, and he lives with his parents. And, he reminds me of someone who has Munchausen via proxy, because what he does is he smothers himself. He doesn't care to get the attention that everybody, including myself, gives him. But they bitch about it, and there's wars. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, this is my humble opinion. It's ridiculous, and I want to explain why I think some things should be done a little differently about it later in the video. Boy, I'm going to see if I can keep rolling. Also this is going to bring some real bad press to me, but at 66, I think I have at least a little bit of life experience to be able to make a comment about this dude who everybody seemed to idolize, and I couldn't get where he was at. And I think I'm pretty hip at 66, okay? But that was Etica. You know, Etica was this guy who kind of did the same thing. I mean, I saw a videotape of him where, he talked about being suicidal or something, and he, did a live stream, and they were trying to get at his apartment to help him, and he said he didn't need help, and he's live streaming it all, and, what? I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers Chris Burden, one of Andy Warhol's buddies, who used to, he was famous for he had Andy Warhol shoot him in the arm once, and they called it art. He also used to have himself nailed to crosses and then driven around on a Volkswagen half on fire, and they called it art. His name was Chris Burden. Anyway, I mean, that's what this is like. You know, it's like he just makes this dramatic, I am a pedophile. But let me tell you something, okay? As somebody who treated pedophiles for a really long time, and, in the private practice that I had my own program, okay, and it was like state-of-the-art type stuff. Stuff that you wouldn't even think therapists do, okay, because it was so outrageous in its own way. But I have to tell you that I don't think that Jared is a pedophile whatsoever. I don't really think he behaves, and he's just a guy who talks that talk to incite riots and get you all to fight with each other. So I don't really quite understand why you take the bait so easy. Are your egos so wrapped up in stuff that, you're going to fight to the death and then mimic him? Because that's what it's beginning to turn into. It seems like it's very personal now. And I won't mention anybody's names, but, there's a lot of people, I've seen several of them, just knocking this guy. And I'm saying to myself, you know what, folks? As he's watching your negative reactions, you know what he's doing? Pardon my French, but he's masturbating. He's loving it. He's climaxing. Oh, is he digging this shit, man? Because he's so attention-starved that the old phrase, no attention is good. I mean, what is it? Bad attention is good attention is, what Jared's seen is. But, you see, people like Jared, I'm sorry, I'm going to include Etica. If you guys don't agree, then just strike Etica out and just relate to the Jared thing, okay? Because I see it as a bigger process. That's kind of what I want to say. Why are these people warring with each other and blocking each other and striking each other and smashing each other? I don't even know what the fuck half the little lingo means when you send pizzas to people's houses and shit. I dig anonymous, but that's what it's beginning to sound like, And that's okay, but it's not okay. No, not on social media. Anonymous, I dig. But anyway, I'm trying to say that he is not, I don't believe he's a pedophile. Because, for one, all these people have got him on, live streams, not live streams, on, chat lines and stuff. But he's very cunning, because he says things like, would you like to send me a picture? He doesn't say, will you send me a picture? And then he sent some picture, who knows, with the rendering. You can't make sense out of what he sent back. But anyway, he also went, there's just a couple things I'm picking at. He also said something like, let's see, he says things like, I'd date, theoretically, I'd date a 9-year-old, I don't care if she's 4. You know what I mean? And they like it too. I mean, but first of all, there's nothing illegal about saying I do it, but has he ever said he's done it? And you know what else? If everybody wants to bomb this guy and get him taken off the air, which probably he should be, because he's just a negative influence of society. If you really did, I really challenge a lot of the people that are associated with Anonymous to just not zang his ass somehow, and just, who knows, but then he might kill himself. I don't know. Get mental health involved. Do something. Don't let it turn into what happened to Etica, okay? Because you all idolized the guy who was in so much pain he fucking jumped off a bridge. He jumped off a fucking bridge, folks. I know you love them for some reason, but he jumped off a bridge. And he has that same sort of sensationalistic, draw all this adrenaline up in you investment in idealizing folks like this. I'm not so sure that's good at 66. Call me an old fart. I don't give a fuck. Okay? But I'm not sure it's so healthy. So, oh boy, let's see. To me, these are just two examples of like a broadening virus. They're just isomorphic. They're just biopsies of a much bigger process that's happening on YouTube. Maybe it's in response, perhaps it's theoretical, I just thought of it, but maybe it's in response to like the major network type people getting involved in YouTube, or even the secondary level of that sort of high production quality, pushing folks like me, or I don't want to mention anybody's names, but the smaller YouTubers who I really love. I am one. I'm true to it. It's the greatest, but I'm not into smoking salvia in front of people and stuff, but I mean, I think it's a very cool, platform. So anyway, it's like a virus that seems to be growing, and now we saw it in Etica before they died. Well, that was kind of a sad thing. Okay, poor kid, mental health, blah blah blah. But we should have caught on to that shit. And all these people are saying, oh yeah, I don't want to beat myself up or feel I should have caught on. You should have caught on because he was acting like an idiot, and instead you turned him into an art form or something. I'm sorry if anybody. I don't mean offense. I'm carried away, obviously, but I just am. Okay, big deal. Max upset. That's all. Okay. So it's like a virus, and we need to give it some medicine. What's the medicine? Okay. At the risk of seeming outrageously arrogant, I'm going to say that to the people that are involved in these, these YouTube wars. I'm sorry. I'm old. I told you, that are involved in these wars. See, I did a bunch on the dojo wars too, so it got me confused for a minute. Anyway, for the people that are involved in these YouTube wars, especially the one going around with Jared, who is just sexually getting off on all the negative press you're giving him, and he doesn't care. So why are you wasting your energy, and why don't you turn it into more productive shit that I've seen all these people do much better jobs of? Okay? So I guess one of my arrogant ways of addressing the matter is fucking grow up! Stop this stupid adolescent bullshit. It's not such a big deal, and if you really meant what you said and you didn't feel like flexing your muscles and acting tough and big, then you'd get Anonymous to zap the dude out and it would be over. Look what happened to Jeff Epstein, for Christ's sake. So that's one thing. The other thing I think is a lot of the very good, excellent, wonderful YouTubers that I subscribe to and I like have their egos way too involved. And when I say ego, I don't mean ego like in the Freudian sense. I mean they have their self-esteem way too wrapped up in their videos, and then as these wars start to heat up, you can see them start to melt down a little bit, and it's worrisome because the data they were putting out before was so great, and then they get distracted by this idiot pretending to be a pedophile just to bull bait everybody, just like Scientology does. Hasn't anybody seen the interview with John Sweeney and Tommy Davis, where Tommy Davis gets John Sweeney to blow high, and then he feels like an asshole and apologizes all the way? He wanted him to apologize. That's called bull baiting. And that's what this motherfucker does. And everybody falls for it, see? But I really don't. What I'm more disrupted about is the fact that everybody does respond to it. This guy makes money, I think, maybe at it. Views and this and that. It's a very hypnotic process in general getting involved in the YouTube scene. So, I mean, why is all of a sudden it turning real conflictual and egotistical? I'm avoiding certain words that I hate to use that begin with N. And it's not the one you think. And so, anyway, I think that you should get your egos out of it. And also, the most important thing, I think, is, and that's the whole really purpose of this video, to be honest with you, is I really think you should take a serious look at why you yourselves get sucked into such a moron, and get like when the Democratic election is happening and you're arguing over this moron. I mean, I don't understand it. Okay, so I would highly suggest that you examine, why it is that you're getting into this, because I think to feed into the process of like even whatever his name was. I'm sorry, that's probably disrespectful. Etica. I mean, you know, the guy killed himself. That was a tragic thing. But people, I think, could have stopped the dude because he was escalating, and everybody was turning it, like I said, into an art form. Jared, I've made my point. You know, but if I make a suggestion, it would be don't feed into it. Stop feeding into it. If it really upsets you so much, just don't watch it. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, I guess I'm through. I hope this had some meaning. I just had to jump up off the couch and say something, and I hope I did it. It's one cut, so I'm trying to think. Should I try to end this with some music or something like I usually do? You know? Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. The YouTube wars. Say no. Thanks again. This has been another episode of Inside the World of Max. Inside the World of Mack's Headroom. Good night.